Joining us today. It's been important for me to be here in Fort Smith and Van Buren area in the River Valley, which has received such a hit in the last week. And the entire state of Arkansas has followed the devastation of the homes, the work that the community has put into place in terms of preventive work, of helping neighbors, and that's probably the most startling thing, not startling thing, but actually encouraging thing is to see how much people have come together, how Arkansas has helped neighbors. We've all pulled together, set aside all the other things of life to be a part of this community. And Mayor, I want to thank you for your leadership here, the judge that I've spoken to as well. We've really got all the people who've been on the front line of trying to protect property over the last week. I'm very grateful to be joined today by our federal delegation, Senator Cotton, Senator Bozeman, members of Congress that are here, Congressman Westerman, Congressman Womack, and we had, who else I'll leave out? And Congressman Hill, of course. But it's very important that they join me on the tour of the river today, to join me in this occasion to report to you on what we've seen, but also in the coming days they've been very supportive of the emergency declaration request that I've submitted to the President asking for federal assistance. That will be measured more closely in the coming days, but the federal delegation have been very supportive, and their assessment with mine today will be instrumental as we move forward in the coming weeks as we are able to more closely measure the damage that we have suffered here in the state of Arkansas. As I flew over today, the most significant impression I had is that it's hard to imagine the magnitude of the flooding. It is difficult to comprehend. When you see it from the air, the breadth of the flooding, you realize the historic area that we are in terms of the Arkansas River. We've never seen this before. We've never had to deal with this before, so there are a lot of unknowns. We have over 500 homes that have been affected here in Arkansas thus far, and that's probably a conservative number. But one of the greatest impacts we see is in the farmland that has been flooded, thousands of acres. Delighted to have our Secretary of Agriculture here, Wes Ward, and it's important for him to be monitoring the loss of our crops and farmland as well as what we've seen with the devastation to our homes. I want to really stress how impactful the volunteers have been, the sandbagging, what you've done to help your neighbors, helping them move furniture out. Thank you for representing Arkansas so well. Yesterday I was asked about the potential of looting, and I said I expect Arkansas to behave themselves. And so I don't see that as a problem, but General Berry is here with the National Guard, and I know that they will be helpful if needed at any point. I also want to recognize General Paul Owen of the Tulsa District of the Corps of Engineers, and what you've allowed us to do by keeping us up to date on the flooding is to do more mitigation, more preventive work. And this has saved property. It certainly has saved lives as well. So General Owen, thank you for you keeping us informed and being a critical part of the team, even though you're in the Tulsa District. You've been very, very helpful to us. One of the consequences that we see is, of course, the damage to the homes. We see the damage to the farmland, but one thing we don't talk about very much is the disruption of the navigation system. And I asked for an estimate, and it is estimated that the daily loss, because of the loss of our navigation system, daily is $23 million to Arkansas's GDP. And so that is something we don't think about that often, but how that disrupts the flow of raw materials, finished product from our factories, how it impacts our ability to get product in and out is a very significant impact on the state of Arkansas. And when we see the navigation channel behind us, we're very mindful of the consequence and how we hope that the water will recede quickly, although we know it will be here for some time. I wanted to recognize the American Red Cross that is here. Where are you, Red Cross? But they have been great partners for us. Julie and your leadership team for opening up centers across Arkansas, shelters for those that need shelter, and so thank the Red Cross for your work today. I just wanted to provide a couple of those observations. Let me just say, as a state, we're behind you. We have devoted $350,000 in emergency relief thus far, but we will put what is needed in action to make sure that our local communities have the support that they need. And I wanted to be here to recognize your leadership. We will need federal assistance in this, and be patient. It's not going to happen tomorrow or the next day. It takes us time to be able to make the damage assessments and put them into place so that we can ask for the appropriate level of federal assistance. And as you look at the coming days, it's here now. It's going to be going to Dardanelle. It's going to be going down the river to Morrilton and on to Little Rock and then to the farm country beyond. So we're going to be dealing with this for some time, and but it starts here. And the way you have responded is how I expect everybody across the state of Arkansas to be prepared and to be able to handle this emergency situation. With that, I want to recognize our senior senator, Senator Bozeman.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor, and I appreciate the Governor so much. Nobody's provided any more leadership than could possibly be given than he has. Not only that, he's assembled a great team that is working very, very hard. In traveling over here, being down a good part of the area that's been affected, it's almost unimaginable. Here we are standing on the bridge. You know, that growing up here, again, you couldn't imagine this happening. The strength of Arkansas is its people, and nobody does a better job than you all. So thank you to the communities that are affected, working together, being so organized. My role is being one of our congressional delegation, and what I'm going to seek to be doing, working the rest of the delegation, is making sure that the federal response, again, is part of the governor's team, as it should be. So whether it's the Corps of Engineers, whether it's FEMA, and the list goes on and on, again, making sure that that is done in a timely fashion. So we're in the middle of this. As the governor said, it's not going to be over tomorrow. It's going to take a good while to get through this. But I'm confident, again, because of the strength of our people, that we're going to succeed and move forward and continue to make it such that we provide all of the resources that we need to help the individuals affected. Thank you very much.
Senator Cott.
Governor, thank you very much for hosting us on the aerial tour from Little Rock up here today. I have to say, when we flew on those helicopters up the Arkansas River, you'd see reason to despair. As Governor Hutchinson said, hundreds and hundreds of Arkansans have been displaced from their homes, thousands of acres of farmland flooded, millions of dollars in economic losses due to the loss of navigation on the Arkansas River. Yet as I've spoken to mayors and county judges all along that stretch of river from Little Rock here to Fort Smith, that's not what I hear. I don't hear despair. I hear strength, and I hear pride, and I hear communities coming together. The Red Cross and local churches and other nonprofits caring for those who have been displaced, bringing them food and bringing them water, taking them into their homes or taking them into shelters as well. People talking about how they're going to rebuild, how they're going to come back stronger than ever. And I just can't say how proud I am to be representing such a fine people, the people of Arkansas. And our job is to make sure that your government, whether it's in Washington, D.C. and our local communities, lives up to the fine example you all have set, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Thank you.
All right, go ahead. Congressman West.
A lot of indecision here. I also like to thank the governor for hosting this, for the flight up the river, very eye-opening. I had a coach say one time that life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of what you do with it. And I think Arkansas can be proud that the governor and the team that he's put together is making the most out of this situation. I can't find a flaw in what they're doing, and nothing but high accolades for Governor Hutchinson, for General Berry, for the Corps of Engineers, for the work that they're doing, and for all the volunteers and everyone involved. I think it speaks a great deal about our state and the kind of people that we have here. The governor talked about the $23 million a day of economics that happens along the Arkansas River. I serve on the Water and Environment Subcommittee of the House Transportation Committee, which we have all the navigable waterways under our jurisdiction. And I often say that these waterways are out of sight and out of mind. Of course, they're in full sight today, but they're a very valuable part of our economy, a very valuable part of flood control and protection. The infrastructure on these rivers is old, needs repair work done on it. It's not just here in Arkansas on the McClellan-Kerr system and in Oklahoma where we're seeing the flooding. It's happening on the Missouri River. There's a lot of water in the Mississippi River right now. I talked to General Mark Toy, who's over the whole Mississippi River navigation system, and they're dealing with not only the water coming out of the Arkansas heading into the Mississippi, but all of it up through the Midwest. This is a historic year, and I think here in Arkansas we're doing a great job of dealing with the situation that we're in, and I again take my hat off to all those involved.
Governor, thanks for being here. Seeing is believing, and it's good to have your team up here. AJ, what a masterful job your Adam people are doing, and we appreciate them. General Berry, the same for you. The products that you guys are producing out of the 188th have been very instrumental in helping us kind of plan and project where the danger spots are going to be. I hope you recognize this. On a normal day in this part of Arkansas, you can't do what you're doing right now. Sitting on the Garrison Bridge. And trust me, we don't want you to get used to that. This is a vital link between Oklahoma and Arkansas that brings with it a lot of commerce that the governor has already talked about as being disrupted when these kinds of events happen. We need to get this bridge reopened soon, but it may be a little bit later down the road. And was mentioned the MCARNS, the Arkansas River Navigation System, produces about $23 million a day in economic activity for our state, and we're losing that right now. And that's not lost on me. And when I consider the impact on guys like Marty Shell at Five Rivers Distribution, it's underwater. And the people he supplies, all the way up to northwest Arkansas, completely out of business right now. And it is our goal and it is our plan to rebuild and make sure that they are made whole again. And to hear stories like OK Foods, which responded immediately to the need to feed people displaced. Then to find out earlier today that Trent Goins told Marty Shell, so that your people don't do without a paycheck, they can come to work for us temporarily. This is the kind of thing that makes a resilient community resilient. Judge Gilstrap, Judge Hudson, Mayor McGill, Mayor Hurst, others have just done a masterful job in putting the very best light on this tragedy that we can. And then down at the sandbagging operation, I'll never forget the image that I had the other day of a young man by the name of Jalen Williams, a Northside basketball player. You'd know him if you saw him. He's 6'10", filling sandbags with his teammates. And right around the pile, a little boy, 3 foot 2 inches tall, named Jeremiah Frost, with a little shovel doing his part to fill sandbags so that we can help people in need. It doesn't make any difference whether you're 6'10" or 3'2". Helping people is what we do in this region. So I just want to thank the governor again for coming, putting his eyes on this particular scenario. And I think I can speak for Bruce and French and Tim, or Bruce and French and Rick. Can't necessarily speak for these senators, although I know that they're going to be unanimous with us, that when a unanimous consent request comes to the floor of the House to provide disaster funding for people hard hit by disasters, you won't find any of us objecting to that request. So keep strong. Understand that this is going to be with us a while, and the trick for us now is to make sure that when this particular tragedy begins to fade into memory, and Old Man River is still at epic levels, that we continue to bring the attention of our people to the people displaced and hardshiped by this terrific flood now and until the waters recede and life is back to normal. Thank you so much.
And I did want to also acknowledge the team that's here. Director A.J. Gary is our leader of our emergency management team statewide, and he has his team assembled at the Emergency Operations Center, in which we have every agency of our state government, our federal government's participating in that, constantly watching our infrastructure, how we can provide greater support, responding to our county judges and our mayors on the needs that they face. And I want to just acknowledge the county judges that are here as well. I made calls to them as members of the delegation did, and time again they'd pick up the phone and they were out of breath. And I knew why they were out of breath, because they were loading sand. And they need to get in better shape also. But it really shows their leadership, the hands-on approach to keeping their community safe. With that, we'd be happy to take any questions from the media.
Governor, do you plan on adding any other counties other than the 15 that you named in that emergency declaration to the federal government as the flooding continues?
I expect that there will be additional counties named as the crest waters continue down the Arkansas River. We'll just have to wait day by day as to whether any counties need to be added, but I expect that will happen as time goes on.
Governor, do you have any kind of specific timeline or number of days for when we will receive FEMA assistance?
Well, FEMA's already on the ground. They're here working in our ops center. I talked to President Trump called, and he assured us that FEMA's on the ground, that they'll be there, and they'll be a part of the assessment. That's the most important thing that we can get done over the next 10 days, is having the support of our local officials in assessing how many homes have been destroyed, what are the businesses that have been displaced, what is the damage to our infrastructure. So both they will help and FEMA will help in making that assessment so that we can then present it to Washington, and so that the president can make a decision on emergency relief and whether we reach the thresholds for a federal disaster, which, based upon my experience, I do expect to reach that threshold.
Speaking of President Trump, can we expect a visit from him?
I can't predict on that. You have to just wait and see if that happens. But the fact that he called as soon as he landed from his Japan trip shows that he's following it. He recognizes what we're going under, and he assured us of the federal assistance that will be available. All right, with that, we'll be available with the senators and congressmen if there's any additional questions. I want to thank the community for being out here. That's not necessary, but I think it shows the togetherness, it shows the support, and how this community wants to make sure that we come out of this stronger than where we began. I see our Colonel Bryant, Arkansas State Police, who's been instrumental in this as well. Thank you for your support from law enforcement and state police perspective. Thank you very much.
right down.
Yeah.
No, no.